Assalamu alaikum dear students, and welcome to the 27th session of the KIPS Distance Learning Program Current Affairs Newspaper Roundup session. The topic for today is going to be energy politics, regional energy politics in South Asia. I am your host Shahrukh Haider, and today we are going to see why there is a lot of potential for cooperation in South Asia vis-a-vis energy is concerned, and how that cooperation can bring socio-economic prosperity in this region. So first of all, what are energy politics and why do they matter? So energy politics is basically the geopolitics of energy, which means that there are many countries in the world that have energy resources, whereas there are other countries which do not have energy resources. Then there are the developed states, which are the major and the largest consumers of energy, which comes in the form of oil, gas, coal, which is then converted into electricity, which is then used to power industries and run the wheel of the economy. And naturally, since these resources are scarce in the world and not available everywhere, the competition for them is raging and has been raging ever since oil was discovered the first time in the 19th century. Energy politics has shaped much of the 20th century vis-a-vis global power politics is concerned and global international relations are concerned. They matter because they determine the extent to which an economy can grow using the energy that is available to that economy, whether that is domestically available or imported from abroad. Secondly, why is South Asia important in energy politics? So you must understand that South Asia lies in a very strategic position. Many analysts say that the 21st century is going to be an Asian century, and Asia is going to become the engine of growth for the 21st century, which means that all the countries in Asia are going to develop significantly, their economies are going to grow, and in the 21st century and in the 20th century we have seen that all the countries that were able to develop and achieve the status of a developed countries only did it on the basis of massive energy consumption, and that is essentially what's going to happen in Asia as well. But interestingly, unlike the developed states of the world, these countries many of them have their own energy resources. Case in point is most important, the Central Asian region. So let's look at the stake of different countries in the energy politics of South Asia. First of all, we have China. China has a very unique and a very broad-ranging vision for the 21st century. China wants to lead the Asian century and become the spearhead of the emerging economic power of the new Asia. That is most significantly seen in the very ambitious and very broad-ranging Belt and Road Initiative. One of the strategic objectives of the Belt and Road Initiative, which is one of the questions that you might see in current affairs past paper, is achieving energy security for China. So China is confronted with a difficult problem in the Straits of Malacca, which is a narrow strip of sea between Malaysia and Indonesia, and from where more than 80%, 90% of China's oil imports pass and reach China. Unfortunately for China, that strait is controlled by United States allies, Malaysia and Indonesia. United States has direct influence over them. So if United States wants, United States can bring the entire Chinese economy down on its knees by completely choking the Straits of Malacca. Now this is called as China's Malacca dilemma. So in order to overcome this Malacca dilemma, which poses a significant national security threat to China, China is engaged in constructing the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the CPEC. Now CPEC is an alternative route for Chinese energy. Chinese energy imports from Central Asia, from Middle East and from Africa have the potential of passing through Pakistan through the CPEC project, rather than going all the way in the Indian Ocean to the Malacca, the Straits of Malacca, the strategic choke point, and having the threat of being stopped. In the case of CPEC, the route is also reduced by nearly 5,000 kilometers, even more than that. So essentially CPEC is a win-win situation for China and Pakistan if it becomes a reality. Thirdly, China naturally also wants to tap into the very rich energy resources of Central Asia, and Belt and Road Initiative and the CPEC projects are also projects meant to achieve Chinese hegemony over Central Asian region and allow China to win Central Asia. Now, the second stakeholder is Pakistan, and as far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan's struggle for meeting its domestic energy demand has been at the forefront of Pakistan's energy politics in this region. Now, our installed capacity is 37,500 megawatts, whereas our demand is 25,000 megawatts at the peak during summers. However, due to a lot of transmission losses and energy theft, and majority of our energy producing plants not working at their full capacity, what we get now is only 22,000 megawatts of energy produced. Now there is a 3,000 megawatt gap, which is very difficult to fill at this point. Secondly, we also need cheap gas. Currently the gas we are getting is either from Sui in Pakistan, in Balochistan, or from Qatar. Qatari gas is very expensive, I am sure, just as the Qatari letter was. So anyways, we need a cheap source of gas to power our industries, because currently the Qatari gas is expensive and the government gives a lot of subsidies to industries to utilize that gas, which creates a hole in the government's revenue collection targets each year. And naturally Pakistan has an interest in promoting regional energy cooperation in South Asia. Third is Iran, and Iran has been attempting to sell its energy products throughout the region in the world ever since the United States reimposed its very damning economic sanctions and left Iran to fend for itself, where it no longer can sell its energy, its oil, in the legal energy market. So it constantly tries to sell it in the black market. So one of its aims is to evade US sanctions somehow, and obviously to promote regional energy cooperation in South Asia as well. Now, how do we build bridges vis-a-vis energy cooperation and energy politics in South Asia is concerned? Well, there are three very important projects that have already been envisioned and are interestingly under construction in South Asian region that give the hope of creating massive socio-economic prosperity, employment, improving human development index rankings of majority of South Asian countries if these projects are achieved. Number one is the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India gas pipeline, the TAPI pipeline. Now the TAPI pipeline has been in the cards for nearly 18 years now. It was first envisioned in 2002. And it is an 1800 kilometer long pipeline which will deliver gas from the very energy and gas rich Turkmenistan all the way to India. And it is one of the most cheapest sources of gas that Pakistan and India will ever get, which if it evolves, and currently it is in construction phase in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and is set to be achieved in 2022. If it becomes a reality, a lot can change in this region. More employment opportunities, more industrial activity, more economic activity, overall socio-economic prosperity will be achieved. The second important project that is already on the card is the Iran-Pakistan-India pipeline, the IPI pipeline. It was originally the IPI pipeline, but unfortunately in 2017 India pulled out of the Iran-Pakistan pipeline, citing fears of US retaliation, because US and Iran were in constant tensions and confrontation, and quite naturally India did not want to insult or distance the closest strategic partner, which is the United States of America. Now ever since India bailed out of the Iran-Pakistan-India gas pipeline, now the pipeline has been renegotiated between Iran and Pakistan only, and Iran's side of the construction is nearly done, and the side of construction on Pakistan is about to bring, which once again will bring much cheaper gas to Pakistan's industry and manufacturing sector as compared to the Qatari gas that we are getting right now, the LPG gas that is. The third important project which is also under construction is the CASA 1000 energy transmission project. Now the CASA 1000 envisions to export all the excessive energy that is produced during the summers in Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan to Afghanistan and Pakistan. During summers, nearly 1300 megawatts of excess energy is produced in these countries, which will then be transmitted to Pakistan to fulfill their needs. This is once again an important energy project that can help achieve energy security for Pakistan and build Afghanistan's energy infrastructure, which is nearly dismal right now. So in all of this scenario, I believe the new grade game is one of the most important contexts to consider. The new grade game is basically the competition for the rich energy resources of Central Asia, which are 7 countries, as I've already mentioned: Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and 2-3 other countries. Now all of these have very rich energy resources, specifically gas and oil. And there is a raging competition in the world to tap into those energies and become the first advantageous partner of Central Asian states to help them export it to the rest of the world and achieve energy security. And this competition is raging between China, Russia and the United States. And for now, China is winning because the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, is meant to be a transit route for Central Asian energy as well. Remember guys, when it comes to energy politics, there are 2 most important things. Firstly, the energy products, the energy resources themselves, such as gas, oil and coal. And secondly, good, short and safe routes for transporting that energy to other countries. If both of these things are achieved, much foreign exchange is earned through that sale and much socio-economic prosperity is generated. But if the route is not present, as is the case with Central Asia, which is why Central Asian energy has not been tapped into as yet, nothing can be achieved. So the future looks bright for South Asian energy security, and perhaps it might become a reality in the future. Thank you very much for your patience. Be sure to read the many articles and important links that I have shared in the description of the video. Be sure to click show more and it will help you a lot. Thank you very much.